Once upon a time, there lived a couple named Fijabi and Olauti, who, despite several years of marriage, remained childless. They tried one herbalist after the other to remedy their childlessness, but all their efforts were in vain. They did not give up, however, as the shame of a fruitless marriage was too much for them to accept. One day, a friend of the wife, Olauti, was told of a powerful herbalist who had a gift of foresight. The herbalist lived in a distant town, but that was of no concern to Olauti and her husband. They embarked on the long and arduous journey to the herbalist's shrine, in hopes that this particular medicine man could be the answer to their problem. Inside the shrine, they met the herbalist, a wise and enigmatic figure. He gazed at them and asked,
"What is your problem?" "Our problem is that even though my wife and I have been married for many years, we have not been blessed with a single child."
Upon hearing this, the herbalist cast his divining chain onto the floor, and after a pause spoke gravely.
It appears that both you and your wife were born barren.
What? Born barren? Please, wise one, help get us a child.
But the oracle has disclosed that you and your husband are barren. What do you want me to do, woman?
Give me a child and take away my shame. Even if the child is born today and dies tomorrow, I don't mind.
The herbalist shook his head in astonishment.
What use is a child if it is born today and perishes tomorrow? We don't care what happens, just help us produce one child.
After considering their plea, the herbalist reluctantly agreed, but he warned them.
I do have the power to help you get a child, but the child will only bring sorrow in the end.
We accept your terms. Please, help us.
Very well. I am going to kidnap for you the only remaining child of the river goddess. But the child will surely go back to her mother. Therefore, you must not allow the yet-to-come child to go and fetch water from the stream until she is married and has a child of her own.
After instructing them, the herbalist prepared a potion for Olauti and ordered her to drink it once she arrived back home. Following his instructions, Olauti consumed the entire potion the morning after she returned home. Soon after, she miraculously became pregnant and in due time gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The couple named her Antere, which meant the child kidnapped from the goddess of the river. Antere grew up, a source of immense joy for her parents. As she grew in beauty and grace over the years, Olauti and her husband did not forget about the herbalist's warning. They watched over her closely, ensuring she never ventured to the river until she was married and became a mother. Fate took a cruel twist, however. Just 5 days before Antere was to be wedded, she approached her parents saying she wished to wash her clothes at the stream. Her parents, thinking she was old enough to make such decisions, granted her request without giving much thought. After receiving her parents' permission, Antere gathered her clothes along with a wooden bowl and set off for the stream. As she knelt by the water's edge, the river goddess emerged from its depths. With a gentle pull, the goddess grabbed Antere and then submerged beneath the water's surface, carrying the girl to her dwelling place within the river. Antere's parents waited anxiously for her return, but she never came back. They went to the river and searched frantically, but their efforts were in vain. Desperate, they sought the king's counsel and informed him of their missing daughter. The king, concerned for his subjects, sent messengers to the river, but they also failed to uncover her whereabouts. The following morning, a woman went to the stream and saw Antere's bowl floating on the surface of the water. When she reported this to the king hastily sent one of his messengers to the stream to confirm this report. Indeed, the messenger saw the wooden bowl floating upon the surface of the water, but he did not see Antere herself. He called loudly,
Antere! Antere! Where are you? Come out now.
Moments after calling Antere, the messenger heard Antere's enchanting voice. She was singing strange music his ears had never heard before. The music and Antere's voice were so enchanting that the messenger could not stand still. He began to dance from the stream to the palace like a madman. When the king's servants forced the messenger to stop dancing, he gave his report to the king.
In truth, I saw Antere's wooden bowl at the river. But words cannot describe the enchanting voice that came out from the bottom of the stream. The moment I stopped to listen to the voice and its melody, my limbs began to move on their own, and I lost my mind.
The king was so astonished by the report of the messenger that he invited all of his counselors and a multitude of townspeople to follow him to the river to see for themselves. As he mounted his horse and prepared to ride to the river with his counselors and townspeople, the messenger warned him,
My king, please do not ride horses to the river.
But why should we not ride our horses to the river?
Sire, the horses as animals will not be able to control themselves once they hear Antere's enchanting song.
No, we shall ride the horses to the river.
Disregarding his messenger's warning, the king and his counselors mounted their horses at once and rode towards the river with the multitude of townspeople. Antere's father and mother were in their midst. When the group arrived at the river, one of the king's messengers shouted,
Antere! Antere! Where are you?
Antere answered loudly from the bottom of the river with her enchanting melody. When the group heard her irresistible song, the king, his counselors, Antere's parents, and the multitude of townspeople began to dance like madmen along the river's bank. The king and his counselors' horses were not immune to the madness Antere's song induced. While the multitude danced, the horses crushed several children around them, with the screams of their children in the air. Some townspeople stopped dancing and beat the king and his counselors out of blind rage. It was as if Antere's enchanting song magnified their rage tenfold. So great was their rage that they beat several counselors to death in the sudden and terrible brawl. When Antere's enchanting music stopped and everyone returned to their senses, loud cries of pain and sorrow filled the air. The king, his remaining counselors, and the townspeople could not bear to see the death and chaos that descended upon their peaceful town so suddenly. With great sorrow in their hearts, Antere's parents, the king and the others, returned home. Thus, the river goddess reclaimed her child, Antere. But of course, the herbalist had forewarned Olauti and her husband that it was sorrow which would be their only gain at the end, for they neither had a child in heaven nor on earth. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified when we post our next story. Until next time.